When I come home, my father worked in the Davis County Bank. My father had accumulated about 15% of the bank during his period of employment. And my mother was a director there because he owned that much of the bank. When I come back from the service, she said, you know, you become the director because you're the guy and I'm not too knowledgeable about this stuff, and besides, you need experience. So I did, and then I got the idea, why don't I just buy this bank and just have it in the family? And because my family had inherited equal portions of my father's share. So the bank, First Security Bank of Utah, was the correspondent bank. So I go down and I talked to the president of First Security Bank, and I said, I got an idea. And he said, what's your idea? And I said, I'm going to buy the Davis County Bank. And you are our correspondent bank and have been since 1891. And I got a problem. I want to borrow the money from you to buy the bank. And they said, well, that's an unusual request. I said, no, well, let's make it easy. When I buy, you'll loan me the money to buy 10 shares. I'll go buy 10 shares. Then I'll bring the shares back. You can take it as my collateral. And then you lend me the money for 10 more shares. Then I'll go buy 10 more shares, and then I'll bring the collateral back here. And if I fail along the way, then you own it, and that's good for you. Well, I got all the shares, and then I said, well, you're in the banking business, and I'm not in the banking business. Why don't we just sell the bank to you? And we figured out a price, and it was a good one for us. And the difference between the price and the amount I owed him, of course, paid off the loan. And then we just had money from that bank sale. I went to California to get stock. I went any place somebody lived that had some Davis bank stock. I paid a visit to, convinced them, and there were ways I convinced them to sell it to us. And that bank that my great-grandfather started is a Wells Fargo bank today. Richard Young's family were very successful in the sign business. His father started in Ogden with a bicycle, with paintbrushes and gold leaf. And he would go around to various offices, and on the door he would gold leaf in such and such attorneys, those beautiful signs of old. But his son decided to make it a lot bigger, and neon was coming. And neon was big in the sign business, as we know, and kind of revolutionary. And so they worked here and in Ogden, and the sign company got bigger and bigger. So they were going to Reno, and they were going to Las Vegas to sell their neon sign product. One day, the guy that went down there with them said, hey, they were both in Las Vegas and in Reno, said to him, hey, this is crazy. We're competing against each other. Why don't you pick one? I get the other one. We get out of each other's hair, and you get all that city, and I get all this city. And he said, well, that's a great idea. So Mr. Young lost the bet and got Las Vegas. The big deal was Reno at the time. Las Vegas was just a cow trail. Well, since then, you know what's happened to Las Vegas. Reno, I guess, is still pretty good. But so they own and have developed a majority of signs. So I've known Rich, and he was a great artist. And so when we had the high school yearbook, and you know generally what happens, there's a lot of photographs of people and so forth in the book. He drew them all. He was that good an artist, and you knew who they were. Then I got to know Rich Young better because we both went to the Air Force at the same time, and we had the same instructor. So we cried on each other's shoulders, so to speak, when the instructor said we weren't doing well or something like that. Anyway, we both got out of the Air Force, and we came back, and he said, Howard, and he started work for the sign business. And the thing that was neat about that for Rich is he was a great artist. They had an airplane, they had a Bonanza, and he'd fly out to Nevada, Jackpot, Nevada, for instance, just build a new casino, and he said, I'll take the sign, and you take the interior, you take the furniture. And so that's what we would do. Well, Rich decided he don't like signs anymore. He said, you know, you go up and down State Street and you see those neon signs, and it's just embarrassing. They're so bad, just terrible. He says, just like a scab on your face, you know. Well, he was voted at a very young age the president of Utah Neon Associates. In his final speech at the convention was, hey, guys and gals, we can do better than this. We can make better design signs. We don't need to put this garbage up all over the place. It's just horrible. And they literally booed him off the stage. He said, that ends the industry for me. I don't want to be in neon signs anymore. Really good taste, good design. So what am I going to do? So he came, talked to us, and he said, you know, you guys are doing good design. Young Electric's doing terrible design. Well, what am I going to do? What should I do? And I said, Rich, why don't you move to Los Angeles? We'll form CLY, Clark Gleaming Young, and you'll have access in Los Angeles to all the things that people can't get to sell because they can't become a dealer because there are other dealers that have already got it tied up. But we are a dealer, so we can have it drop shipped. So he did that, and he did nice work. He did the CEO and several of the major offices of executives in Los Angeles for Bank of America. He did a lot of airlines offices. He did a lot of things. But in Salt Lake, we had an opportunity to go to Las Vegas and do an office for a fellow we knew very well, Richard Muir, Dick Muir. He was the manager, and he had invited us to come and do all the interior design. Well, in doing that, we found out that, well, we learned a lot of good ideas to better a brokerage office. And at that time, they had in the middle, you may or not, a carousel of 4 brokers. They all used the same computer. And it was on a Lazy Susan. So one would have it for 30 minutes working with his client. Well, the other 3 didn't have anything to do. Then it got passed to the next one, and the other thing that people didn't have anything to do. It just kept doing that. But all of a sudden, electronics comes on stronger and stronger and stronger. But they don't know how to control the wiring to the electronics. So there's wires going all over the building, and you've seen that. I mean, all over the ceiling. Yeah, and the cable was coming in the air because they haven't planned for the cable. And at the front, instead of getting the stock price, the symbol up there was on what we call clickers. Click, 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 click. They were made out of metal. The numbers were made out of metal, and somebody had developed a thing. They hit a button, IBM, and it click, 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 and then here would be the number. instead of on the computer. All that stuff was developed after we did this. All this electronics was developed. But anyway, we knew it was coming, so we said, what do we do with it? And I said, I know, we're going to present this to somebody, a major national brokerage office. Well, who's that going to be? I said, I don't know, let's check it out. Well, all but one, we found out, basically were in New York. One, Dean Witter Reynolds, 301 Montgomery, San Francisco, California. So I said, well, plane ticket to New York, sure a heck of a lot more than a plane ticket to San Francisco. I looked up who the CEO was of Dean Witter Reynolds. And I called this gentleman. I didn't know anything about it. I never talked to him about it. He didn't know me from Adam. I called him up and I said, you know, we've been studying brokerage offices, and I'll tell you, we've developed a much better brokerage office, and you're going to want to see it because it will be very important in your business. And I want to come and see you, and I'll show you why it's better, and I'll show you the plans, and I'll show you. And he said, you know, Howard, I have to get up in time to work with the New York Stock Exchange in New York City. And that's 3 hours difference. So when that comes on at 10, I'm here at 7. That means I get up at 6 or 5:30, and that's tough. And he said, you know, by 5:30 at night, I'm pretty darn drug out. But he said, I'll tell you what, if you want to spend the money to come all the way to San Francisco, I will give you 15 minutes. I said, I'll be there. What day do you want to do it? I got on a plane. I had these plans. I had everything. And I'd never met the man before. His name was Bill Miller. And I went to 301 Montgomery in San Francisco, and I went to his office and said, Bill, I'm Howard. And he said, glad you came, but you only have 15 minutes to show me. Well, after 10 minutes, he said, Howard, slow down. You've got another 30 minutes at least. I like what you're showing me. I don't want to miss out on it. If I could do something like this, I'd have so many problems solved. Well, the problems they would be, which were really big, as they went into high rise, which is typical, they're growing and expanding, and they need to add offices. So they would buy what they call incubator space. So they'd always buy a third more space or a half more space for development. But they had to pay the rent on that. And that was expensive. And I said, you know what we do? We build your building on the most prominent corner in the city so everybody can see Dean Witter all around the building. And we buy a property so we can expand. We build it all out. It won't cost you a cent in the meantime. And then all we do is go down each hall, take the glass out. The building's already built. You're not smelling any paint. And we've expanded your building, and it doesn't cost you anymore. And besides that, we're going to take all this wire that's all around here, and we're going to put it when we pour the floor, the cement floor. When we pour the cement floor, underneath that floor, we're going to put 3-inch diameter plastic tubes. And we're going to have them 12 foot on centers. So if you want to bring up a line here for a computer, you just drill down, pull it through that, snake it through that conduit, and all of a sudden you've got another one to the desk. And it's not going all around in the ceiling. And I said, you can't rent a property and do that because they don't prepare for you. And he said, slow down again, and we went through that and other reasons. And he said, Howard, how soon can you be in Bellevue, Washington? He said, see this lease right here? That is a lease, Bellevue, Washington, with Fireman's Fund Insurance Company High Rise. And I was going to sign it tonight, but I didn't. Just wanted to see kind of what you were doing. And he said, it's got all the problems you're talking about. And he said, it looks to me like you can solve all those problems. And I said, I think we can, Bill. I don't question that we can. Well, then he said, how soon can you be in Bellevue, Washington? How soon can you be in Bellevue, Washington? I said, Bill, first plane in the morning from San Francisco to Bellevue is how fast I can get there. And I think it's going to be pretty early in the morning. He said, go for it. See if you can find a piece of property. And I went up there and I found a fabulous site, vacant property. And I called him back, and he looked up the site and all, and he said, how soon can you have a building on that? Furnished, totally furnished, through your company, Clark Leeming, the furniture company. How soon? And I said, we can get it financed, we can get it purchased,